Anyway, when it comes to the festive season, there are many traditions that become a massive part of life, especially when it comes to the holidays. And one of these traditions for the festive season that is loved by many all around the world is a good old Christmas movie.
You're goddamn right.
Now, some that come to mind are Muppets Christmas Carol, It's a Wonderful Life, The Ever Amusing Scrooge, and of course, Die Hard.
What?
Die Hard is a Christmas movie especially for me, and thinking about it now, I think Justin says it wasn't. I best rectify this.
What the hell? You know what, Si? Die Hard is my favorite Christmas movie. Now back to Barney's hide and seek.
Good, now we understand each other. And of course, Die Hard has been the topic of debate ever since release, whether it's a Christmas movie or not. However, we can't forget the amazing world of video games that was blessed with some Die Hard games.
Nice.
So join me as we go back in time to appreciate some of these classic Die Hard games. Now, the first Die Hard game released follows the plot of the film fairly closely. However, there were notable differences between the ports released on the various gaming systems it found itself on. The NES and the TurboGrafx versions were played from a top-down perspective, whereas the ports available on the Commodore 64, as well as the PC, favoured a third-person view of play. These versions of Die Hard were fun to play, providing the right level of difficulty for gamers, and allowing them to live out their fantasy of being John McClane.
Yippee-ki-yay, mother...
The success of the first film led to a sequel, and in turn, another video game would be released, which found a home within the arcade.
Excellent!
Die Hard Arcade was a beat-em-up from Sega, and throughout gameplay, players would go up against a variety of enemies, each more deadlier and uglier than the last.
You're one ugly mother...
But the only way of defeating these criminals of the underworld is by using a selection of weaponry, ranging from guns, rocket launchers, and the deadly frying pan. Such was the success of Die Hard Arcade, they were soon ported over to the Sega Saturn, which was fairly faithful to the arcade counterpart. And even though it was relatively short, it still proved to be massively popular with gamers. Now, some of you may or may not be aware that Die Hard Arcade was actually called Dynamite Detective over in Japan, and from success, a sequel would soon follow, aptly called Dynamite Cop. However, that's for another video.
Yes!
Anyway, after the release of Die Hard Arcade, there would be yet another title within the franchise, and perhaps one of the most popular within the series. What game is that, I hear you ask? Well, it's the Die Hard trilogy. The Die Hard trilogy took all three films and jam-packed them into a collection for gamers to enjoy, and each title would follow a different style of gameplay as well as its own story.
Neat.
The first title within this trilogy, known as Die Hard, was a third-person shooter, where gamers would rescue the hostages trapped inside the Nakatomi Plaza. Players would find themselves going up against some of the biggest scum of the underworld, all the while wearing no shoes. Now, when it came to the second title, it was different compared to the first installment of the trilogy, moving away from the third-person perspective in favour of an on-rail shooter. Gameplay was very similar in style to a beloved light gun game that has now since become legendary with gamers, and this of course is Time Crisis. Wow. I know Time Crisis is one series I need to come back to, definitely one for 2023. With the first two installments of the trilogy being massively popular with gamers, it was inevitable that the third title would be as equally as impressive. And with it being based on Die Hard with a Vengeance, the gameplay had taken a drastic change of direction. This time around, players would be in control of a vehicle, speeding through the streets of New York City in a race against time, to disarm bombs, as well as other criminal threats.
Oh my.
When the Die Hard trilogy was released, it became an instant classic with both gamers and critics who loved the variation of gameplay, and from its success, a sequel would soon follow. Die Hard Trilogy 2 Viva Las Vegas continued with the 3 different styles of gameplay that appeared in the first trilogy. However, this time, all 3 styles were combined into one continuing story, but with added upgrades to keep players on their toes. Being able to use a variety of controllers certainly added to the gaming experience of Die Hard Trilogy 2, and even though it may not have been as successful as its predecessor, it was still fun to play despite its flaws.
Oh, really?
After the release of both trilogies, the Die Hard series would lay dormant for a couple of years. However, all that changed in 2002, where 2 titles made themselves known: Die Hard Nakatomi Plaza and Die Hard Vendetta. Being released within months of each other, both titles adopted a first-person perspective of gameplay, where once again players would step into the shoes of Detective John McClane. While Die Hard Nakatomi Plaza retold some of the events of the first film as well as expanding the story, Die Hard Vendetta had a brand new narrative for gamers to enjoy.
Of course!
Now, both games did receive lackluster reviews upon release, but out of the 2, it was Die Hard Vendetta that came out on top and became a must-have title, especially for the Nintendo GameCube.
Don't believe it!
Now, there was a Die Hard game released in 2013 that coincided with the film. However, it only appeared on mobiles, and this has given me an idea for a future video: mobile gaming.
That's pretty good.
Anyway, I'm having this festive season off, but come back in the new year where I'll reveal some bloopers of 2022 as well as some channel updates. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, or whatever you choose to celebrate. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next game.